Well, hello, John.
Hi, Judy. How are you?
It's so nice to have you in the hot seat.
Well, I tell you, it's great to be here. I've been watching the show for a long time, and I've known you for a long time, and I'm really excited about being here today. Thanks.
Great, and as you said, we know each other a long time, and yet I had no idea anything about you,
Well,
except that you're a nice person.
Well, thanks. A lot of times you don't know people's backgrounds until you really get to sit down and talk to them at length a little bit, you know.
And had I thought of it before, if I know you coming because you're in the food business, I would have asked you to bring me a sandwich.
I would have brought a snack, but I didn't come from work today. I came from an appointment with a client off-site, you know.
So you're in the food industry, you're in a catering business.
Do catering, events, Art of Eating Catering, and Hampton Event Management, and this is our 30th year.
Wow. You don't look like a working person. You look like an executive.
Well, you know, now I don't pick up things like I used to in load trucks, you know. It's getting on, so, you know, there's a lot of great staff we have, so they really help.
So you don't do any of the cooking?
No,
you don't make sandwiches?
I make a sandwich for myself now and then, you know. But so mostly we have a great staff, you know. My wife, Cheryl Stair, is my partner, and she really oversees all the food. And then we have Eric Householder and Eric Nodlin and Sonia Chuva. I have a lot of people in my kitchen who are just great.
How many people do you employ?
Well, year-round, there's about a base core of about 10 of us. You know, we have Lori Kenny runs the office, Nicole Yanaros, she runs our staffing section. I have some interns that come in, Cheryl and myself, and then weekends we fill in with different people. Ed Steve Filler, he comes in, he does all the pastries, and I have you know, Kurt Hallquist and Amos Winter, and you know, all these different people from many years out here, you know, help us out when we need it. And
so how did you get into this business?
It's
a long
going
story.
way back to high school. I worked for Lou's Quality Deli in Center Reach, and you know, the catering that we did was you kind of like roll cold cuts and put them on platters, and it was just kind of like my introduction kind of to food, you know. And upon leaving high school, I ended up out in Eastport, and I opened up a surf shop in Hampton Bays, and that's I just found this Shinnecock Surf Shop from a brochure we did for a surfing contest way back then. We did a little bit of, it was a health food store, surf shop, boutique, head shop back then. Mm-hmm. And so we started doing these surf shows and different movies, and having other vendors come down and kind of, you know, catering a little bit along those lines. We had, I don't know, many good times at the surf shop, but it was not so food oriented. And then I ended up as a bartender at the OBI East, and after that, we ended up doing different back in Patchogue at Mike's Clam Bar, and then I worked at Club Pierre Alain in West Hampton Beach, where I met my wife. And so there was always kind of food around because I was bartending in the restaurants. And then I came up. I opened up JK's Outer Beach in West Hampton Beach at the Eastside Tennis Club, kind of Tennessee menu, you know, croissants and muffins and things like that Ina from the Barefoot Contessa used to make for us when she first opened up in West Hampton. And so we left there, and I ended up in West Hampton Beach. I opened up JK's TO with my friend Teddy Oslager, and the both of us kind of Mexican, chicken and ribs. It was the menu. Lots of entertainment. That's kind of how the whole entertainment thing kind of came into my life back then, and you know, the rest is kind of history, you know.
Well, it's amazing. That shows how talented you are, from going one to the other. Not everybody can do that.
I don't know if I get bored or I just like trying new things. Is in between 2 years working at this Club Pierre Alain in West Hampton Beach, we went up to Lake Placid, and I met a guy who had an idea for this ski apparel product. It was a snappy gaiter. It kept the snow from going into your boots, and I thought it was a great idea. So to promote it, we rented out the Lake Placid Resort Hotel, the Agora Ballroom, and we hired, we thought the name of the show was the Rocky Mountain High Society Travel and Tent Show. And
That was a short title.
So we were going to, we were going to promote the ski apparel item, and so we rented out the thing, and to bring the people into this show that we were going to do, this apparel show. We were going to hold these concerts. We figured we could get them into the show, so we hired. I had Dizzy Gillespie. I hung out with him for 2 days. That was really interesting. Herbie Mann and the Family of Man. Then we had Earl Scruggs and Pure Prairie League, and I had to cancel. It was the first time. I got it back. I get too excited talking about this.
Well,
the Chamber, the Tourist Development Council, the Olympic Committee. I said, it's going to be 100,000, 200,000 people in town every day, during Christmas week. So the show's going to be great. First time in 40 years, no snow, Lake Placid.
Oh.
Hardly anybody was in town. The show's kind of bombed out towards the end, but we managed to get through it. But that's kind of when I fell in love with music and shows and the promotion, and kind of the food was always a part of everything anyway. So kind of led
because
me to where I am now.
Because you have to eat, right?
Yeah, you do. Everybody has to eat,
Well, let me just ask you, all these different projects, did you have to have like some money to put up, or how did you manage to accomplish all this?
It was some friends with some money. I had saved a little money. We did a little bit of credit card, and the hard part was when you don't have a success in the beginning. As Einstein said, I failed 99 times, but I succeeded once. So I don't know if that's a philosophy, but it was. It's a struggle sometimes, It's real struggle, and if you come up with a good idea, I think you can do okay.
So you were able to find people to invest in what you thought would be a good idea.
Yeah, there were a couple people. The worst part is, when you have an idea you think is great, and you sell them on the idea, and it doesn't pan out the way you're selling them to, they get a little upset. But it's business, and everybody, you take a chance,
I know, but I think it's just wonderful that you were able to convince people with your ideas, and look where you are. You are successful most of the time.
Well, now I think we're successful, and I'm happy. That's the other thing too. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. We have a great business. I got a great staff. It's clientele unbelievable. We're in an unbelievable area. I love it out here because I moved out here to start surfing when I opened up the surf shop, and I fell in love with everything.
I had a guest here before who has a surf shop. I just can't remember his name.
Oh, nice.
Stephen somebody. Oh, it's in our group also.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyway, let's get back to you. I think that you are hiding like in a box that no one knows about you. I think you're a gem.
Well, thanks.
That everybody should know what a talented and nice guy you are.
Well, I have a lot of great support. A great wife and friends and family, and what I'm finding out now too is becoming part of the community by getting involved with the community and doing different things. We have this poster up here from first we did the All for the Sea concerts in Southampton at the college, and that was a big fundraiser for the college Southampton campus, the Marine Science Program, when it was there. Over 10 years, they raised over $12 million.
Oh my God!
We took
phone numbers.
We took a lot of time and effort on that show because we had to bring in. Our job in the beginning was just participating, and then we got more involved, and we started bringing in restaurants and caterers, and we ended up in the VIP tent, overseeing 65 restaurants and caterers and 2,000 guests, and they would go out and sit in front of the thing. Jimmy Buffett was there a couple times, and they had Tom Petty and Bob Dylan and Paul Simon and Brian Wilson and Tony Bennett. So.
Does anyone know about you? If you mentioned the name John, what is it?
Kowalenko. Well, it's kind
Kowalenko.
of funny because it depends on what part of my life you know me from. Because people from early Hamptons, West Hampton, call me JK.
Oh, that's easier.
It is, yeah, right. Because I can never remember my name. They still wouldn't know my name. Some of them, if you ask them.
Kowalenko.
Yeah, like Johnny K. or
And in the old country, it would say Kowalenko.
Kowalenko, right?
Yeah, it all depends where you go.
Yeah, my grandfather was from Kiev.
I think if people would know that name, they would have a lot of fun with it. Lenko.
All the teachers over the years have had lots of fun, and I share with you when we make a reservation, we use my wife's name, so it's very easy,
Yeah,
so
I would
when we go out.
use the name Kowalenko. It's easier to remember.
Yeah, right.
And
you have
it's
to spell it a little
noteworthy.
bit,
So I would think that everybody would, if they want to do anything, let's go talk to John Kowalenko. He would know what to do, or how to do it. You could become a teacher.
Well, events, we have mentors. Yeah, I have a mentor, and we also have people who want to be interns. They come in for the summer to learn, because we do a tremendous amount of events, not just the catering, but in the catering we're dealing with the tenting, the rentals, the staffing, the food, of course. Locations, logistics, power, entertainment.
How far do people come from for your service?
Well, we
catering
have some clients we go into Manhattan for.
Manhattan.
But most of them are out here, and I have a very good client up in Laddington, in Port Washington area. So,
is that private people or restaurants or events who come to you mostly?
We have a lot of private people, but we also get involved with not-for-profits. This past year, we did a fundraiser for the retreat. East Hampton Daycare Center. I'm very involved with the food pantry. I'm on the board of the food pantry, East Hampton Food Pantry. So we had a big movie night on the beach this summer, which was great. The kids loved it. We have the Polar Bear Plunge coming up January 1st, Main Beach in East Hampton. That's really...
But you do get profit from all of these people, even when you do charity work?
The charity work, not as much, because we donate back usually to try to work within their budget. But when we do a wedding, if like a high-end wedding, people they want what they want. And sometimes budget's important. Sometimes budget is important, but it doesn't matter to them. They just want to have the lighting and the decor and the menus and the extra staff, and which really allows us to shine, because when you can do it properly, not that we don't do it properly, but sometimes having a little extra staff, or having an extra tent or a little bit more space to work with really helps out a lot. Especially if you have entertainment and you need a place to put the band after they're done, so they're not in the kitchen tent. So there's a lot of things. It's an interesting business.
So where do you live?
Springs.
Springs. How did you go? How long have you been there?
We've owned our house up there probably for 12 years, and of living in the house for about 18, and have been on the East End since 1970. I moved into...
So where were you born?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
31st Avenue D, Kings County Hospital. My mom went to Bishop McDonald. My father went to Erasmus, and
Erasmus High School.
And my grandparents were immigrants on my father's side, and he was a chef at the Waldorf.
Your father?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather?
So there was a little bit of that blood in me, somebody said, way back when.
Yeah, sure. And but you were born in Brooklyn in Kings County?
Kings County, yeah.
Yeah,
Kings County Hospital.
How did you get to the Hamptons?
Moved to Centereach. My dad passed away when I was 7. My mom had, there was 4 of us. Her parents lived in Centereach, so we bought the house next door to my grandparents, and so they kind of like oversaw us growing up, and helped out a tremendous amount.
And what did your father do?
He was a printer. He worked for a printing company, and apparently he was involved with some kind of development of some kind of four-process color printing. And my mom was, house mom until he passed away, and then she became the breadwinner.
Yeah, what did she do?
She sold advertising for the radio station in Riverhead. She was a waitress. She sold insurance,
Oh, my gosh, she worked hard.
She was a hustler, But we all had to have jobs, too, because if we wanted something, it was like, okay, get a paper out, get a job at the deli, Lou's Deli in Center Reach, And so we all had, jobs to at school, growing up, to have the extra money. And then I got my first job as a bartender, and at the Gold Coast 2 in St. James, and that led me to get a job at the OBI in Hampton Bays, because some of the bartenders there were going to the OBI in Hampton Bays, and we helped.
OBI.
It used to be the Canoe Place Inn. It was the Canoe Place Inn on the canal in Hampton Bays, was bought by this guy Bobby Matheson, and he had 4 places: Oak Beach, Smithtown, Island Park.
I mean, is that what kind of a business is an OBA?
It was called the Oak Beach Inn, which was the OBI. That was the initials, and it was a bar. It was just a club. They had bands like Twisted Sister and Bonnie Parker, and just all these big rock and roll bands played there all the time. 2,000 people would come in, and the bars were open till 2, then 3, then 4 a.m. And we lived there. It was a crazy. I lived with Twisted Sister in 40 rooms at the OBI, which was kind of crazy for a couple of years, And then I kind of moved on, So I had the surf shop at the same time.
So that's how you got to the Hamptons, and you liked it.
I fell in love with the surfing out here. That was the beaches, and that whole aspect is what really drove me out here.
So you like to surf?
And I love to surf. I thought when I got older I'd have more time, but I have less time because I'm working more. For some reason, it's all backwards, Well, now we do. I get involved with the community. We've done a number of fundraisers. We talked about with the food pantries, and that's dear to my heart is feeding people, and people don't realize how many challenges there are for people out here of retired veterans and people with families and kids who just can't make it because the rents are so high and so forth, and we're feeding East Hampton and Amagansett food pantries 300 plus families a week at some time. So how many people are in a family? So 1,200 people, and there's a dozen food pantries on the East End, so it's a big dilemma, it's really a challenge out here.
Well, you're doing a good job.
Well, we're trying, and it takes a lot. There's a great board that we have. The East Hampton Food Pantries board is unbelievable. And Vicki Littman just
Yeah,
runs,
Vicki Littman. She was on my show.
Yeah. So
With
Vicki
Gab.
really runs the show, and so we're working, as I said, on. We have a fall food drive in front of the middle school on Newtown Lane coming up. I think 2 weeks, and then the Polar Bear Plunge, New Year's Day, Main Beach. Come down.
Do you advertise? How do people get to know about everything that you do?
We do some advertised social media. We have 2 websites, hamptonsartofeating.com and hamptonevent.com, so that covers the 2 sides of that. We do Instagram. We have Facebook pages for
and how
all the
do you
businesses.
decide who's eligible for the food pantry?
Oh, for the food pantry. That was for my business. For the food pantry, okay. So for the food pantry, you just have to prove you're a resident of East Hampton Town. There's no background check. There's nothing like that. You just have to prove that you live in East Hampton Town, and then we register you, and you get a card, and then you can come down, and depending on the size of your family, how much food you will receive. It's every Tuesday. We distribute between 2 and 6. At the East Hampton Food Pantry behind Town Hall, and then there's one at St. Michael's Church over in right next to St. Michael's, the senior citizens there in Amagansett. So everybody can come down, and it's really great because there's always fresh fruits, vegetables. Can't say always. 99% of the time. So you get choices between that. You get choices between dairy. We have milk and cheese and eggs and butter. And then there's always bags of groceries that people can come in and take home with them, And if you can't, the seniors can get a bus ride down. and if you're homebound or something, send someone else down to come in and get it, because it's a great, it's just a great service that the community does for the community. And I wish more people could, get involved and support us, because it's like every dollar counts. Like PPB Radio, they're running their annual thing, so like they're looking for, everybody's looking for support from the community for donations. But this is like life, this is like you're feeding people, and I get emotional thinking about it sometimes, when, you got a hungry kid, or, you see these families come in with kids, it's just like, are you kidding me? And people say, well, how can it be hunger out here? It's the Hamptons, And there's one side is, the extreme wealthy, and there's a small middle class that's, kind of the working class out here, and then there's another class that's just really working, but just trying to survive because they're not bringing in enough income, for like one family. It's the two, mother and father have to work, the kids have to work, everybody's helping to support the family.
Well, I wish more people were as compassionate as you are.
I think everybody has compassion in them. You just don't know what's in there. You got to get it out. You got to stir it up a little bit. I mean, once you get involved in any organization, do you love music? Do you love helping people with foods or the animals or with art or whatever it may be that you get involved with? You become more of the community. You add to the base of the community, and you add to what we have to offer as a community, because we have each other, like that's what it's all about,
That's so
who you're
true.
going to lean on, some people don't have families, and they have to look for help,
Yes.
So.
You were talking about entertainment. Is there anything in particular that you like in entertainment?
Music. I love doing concerts, like over the years, I've had the unbelievable opportunity to meet some great, musicians and entertainers. As I said, from Dizzy Gillespie to just recently, we have clients, we've done a number of things with Billy Joel. We've done a number of things with Jimmy Buffett. We've done, we just did a party last year with, oh God, why I just lost his name in my head here. Buster Poindexter, David Johansen. So,
do you play anything yourself?
I play harmonica, so
really?
I probably have
Did you play for anybody or?
I play for me. When I get the blues, I play the harmonica.
Yeah, you never joined any group?
No, I've been on stage
Not
a few
even for
times.
fun?
I've sat in a few times with different people years ago.
Oh yeah,
and I have a guitar, so I need some lessons. I don't play at all right now, So, but I love music, and I love.
You mentioned Einstein before, and he played. He was out in the Hamptons at one time, and he played with a group.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
So, of course, I'm just saying that because you mentioned his quote before. You quoted him, so you must like him.
Yes, I love him. I was fascinated with him as a kid. I remember going to the library all the time. I just thought he had this mind, and talking about his theories, and sitting on a hill and watching where the train was and where it's going to. How you saw the past, the present, and the future of the people in the train. And I went like, wow, there's a concept. So, and I like to read, and, we were just in the city, went to the Whitney, saw the Warhol exhibit, and I can't think of this woman's name. Hilma, she's from Sweden, and she passed away in the 40s, but she was an artist from late 1800s all the way through, and it was just a whole nother thing for art,
Well, you have all those things on the floor. We never had a chance to look, but very quickly, just what's in the near future?
Near future, hopefully more donations for the food pantry and other not-for-profits out here.
All right, suppose Joe Moe is watching this. Where could he send his money?
Well, you could go to easthamptonfoodpantry.org. Or call the food pantry, and I don't have the number offhand, but it's East Hampton Food Pantry.
Yeah, when
right behind
people who
town-
have
town
computer,
hall.
it's easy to
Yeah,
look
you know,
up.
that's the way to do it. You know, and anything helps. You know, you could bring food or you could bring money. Money's usually good because we know what we need.
Do
you
you
know?
ever mention the names of the donors?
Only if they want to. You know, it's like it's as are the clients. You know, everything's you know, anonymous, and that way you know, people feel comfortable.
Well, it's been so lovely have you here because as I said, I know you for many years, but I have no idea that you're a gem. You find this gem in a little box. Nobody knows about you. So after this show, expect to practice your signature. People will come and you're going to have to sign you, autograph to
Thank you.
people. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for having me, really. A
taking
pleasure.
time out and telling me and the whole world all about you. I think you are fantastic.
Well, I
really.
appreciate your time and what you do, too, for the community. So thank you, too, very much. You know.
Okay, so we have like 30 seconds before the show ends. And
Well, I hope people, you know, from the show will get a little inspired, you know, and go out there and, you know, participate in something. Support some cause, support some local, whether you volunteer your time or you have a couple dollars you can throw towards something. It'd be
yes,
really great.
if you have some change in your pocket,
Yeah, everything helps. It really
yes.
does, you know.
just to feed somebody who's hungry.
Exactly, exactly.